the polity, and like I said before, my name is Dayo Omoogun, and to make the full complement of this set, I have Samaila Musa, a former director of strategic communication of Northern Groups,
Coalition
of Northern Groups, as well as the current national coordinator of Grassroots Mobilization Initiative. And he's right next to me. You're welcome, Musa.
Thank you for having me there.
All right. And then next to him, you have Adeolu Adeyemo. And he is a public affairs analyst, but that's because we just want to limit it to that. He's a film producer. He's done extensive work in arts and all that. And of course, a whole lot of his works will speak for him very shortly in the course of time. Not on this program, but I'm saying in the weeks and days and months ahead. Adeolu, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So we go straight to the matter at hand, which is the second year anniversary of President BOLA AHMED Tinubu. Like I said a while ago, just like yesterday, it's 2 years already. And those 2 years have had some impact. And we will, in the course of this program, unravel whether it is positive impact or negative impact. I'll start this way. On a general level, you know how a student could score 10 over 100 in French and score 90% in mathematics and score 75% in chemistry and score 20 in religious knowledge and score maybe 25 in English. But at the end of the day, the guy is moved to the other class because on the average it's still positive.
Yes.
So on the average, Samaila,
yes,
let me ask you, on the average, has this government done well or not? Just briefly.
Okay, so I think whether you are for this government or you are against this government, or whatever position or your disposition to what's going on in the country is, it would be sheer arrogance for anyone in government to come out and say Nigerians are not going through hard times.
Yes.
You know, the times have been really, really tough for quite a lot of people in this country, or I said majority of the citizenry are really feeling the pains, you know. But having said that, what do you expect? When this president came on board, he came in from day one, he came in with assertiveness. He brought charisma on board, which started from Eagle Square, the venue of his inauguration. That statement, I'm sure a lot of Nigerians, they understand the import the day he made it. You know, it was something quite a lot of people have been running from. I mean, past presidents.
Past leaders.
You know, we all agree it's something that needed to be done. That's removal of subsidy. But who's got the balls to do it was where the problem lies. You know, but he came in on board and he, you know, and make that pronouncement. And the atmosphere, you know, I mean, the day of the inauguration, because that his inauguration came with some baggages from the election, was neither here or there and all that. But a lot of things changed anyway. And so the effects of the removal of subsidy is literally what the citizenry are feeling.
Even now.
Even now.
Even now. No, because you're going to go into the nitty-gritty of all of this,
okay,
very shortly. But on a, if you had to just call, would you say that the government has done well?
The government has done well. I would say, yeah, because there are indices here and there you can actually to prove that. Yes.
All right, now let's go to Adeolu. On a general level, you know, I painted a picture of what a scorecard generally looks like in school. Somebody has scored very high on this, but very low on this. But when you sum it all up, he gets to pass or he gets to fail, depending on whether the negatives surpass the positives or whether the positives surpass the negatives. So Where do you stand in this? The Tinubu administration, would you say they have done well? I'm talking generally. It doesn't mean that they have done excellently. Doing well is different from doing excellently. Yeah?
Okay, so many years ago, 2014, I was opportune to do scorecard for Goodluck Jonathan.
Good.
And even then, when people were shouting, saying all kinds of things against the guy, and one of my statements is that there is no government of the day that will come to governance to leading people that want to destroy the nation. There's no. Because there won't be any reason for that. So, and I called Jonathan, where?
Right.
Coming back to
Tinubu
now, can I say that he's not done anything? He's done quite a number. At least if I don't know of anything, I know of IMF.
The loans that are
paid.
All right, so as far as you're concerned?
For me, that's a big plus. Because why? He's not just taking. He's now paying back.
It's also all right.
He did a good job. Their place is done well.
So our nation is rising up
in
terms of credibility.
It's a gradual process.
All right. So it has done well.
Yeah. To some
when
level.
You put plus and, of course, when
to
you put plus
level,
and minus together,
yes.
the net effect is plus.
Yes, it's plus.
And it's plus from you. Now, so this is the second anniversary of that statement. Subsidy is gone. That really,
and the effect is hitting
everybody. And when it came with promises that there will be palliatives, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, we have seen the fiat, the speed, the how do you put it now? How the words went into action concerning the policy shift. Yeah. But we have not seen a corresponding speed in terms of the delivery of palliatives. How do you read?
Oh, well, so I think that would be an issue of, because you see, when you just come on board, like I said to you the last time I was here, I said something about a former president telling just a few of us that if they want to rubbish you, let them just give you Nigerian police to go and reject it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
So.
So you realize that you're sitting on something else.
Yeah.
So this government is just 2 years in office today. Whether some people in the past have done it well or not, but he introduced this policy, removed subsidy, introduced palliatives. Some of the fundamental problems is in other climes where these things are being run, you know, I'm more conversant with that of England, is that there's appropriate data in place.
Yeah.
You know, you can be anywhere. I mean, if I'm based in Katsina, I can go to Lagos and still be able to access whatever I'm getting from the government. You know what I mean? So those structures are not properly in place. I think in Nigeria, we're just gradually trying to see how we integrate all those things together. You know, you have NIN now, you have BVN and all that. And so it's a gradual process. And I think it will be too early in the 2 years of this government, you know, to begin to say people have not felt the impact of palliatives. I know some people who are already on the roll and are saying they have been receiving this. You know, Nigerians, when it comes to issues like that, people don't like to talk about them. Someone would just receive his own and just keep quiet.
All right.
You know, that culture is really in us. But to a large extent, I think we're going to get there if this process is actually being taken seriously the way they are going. Is going to circulate eventually.
All right, all right. Let me take you up quickly further on that.
Okay.
Now, you're talking about those packages that are personalized, I believe. Like in the last few weeks, I've heard that some of these conditional cash transfers have been made to millions of Nigerians. Is yet to be made?
Is yet.
No, I saw some news clips where some people
that some people have received. That some people have received. So talking about the personalized one, yeah, maybe we could agree with what you've said.
Yeah.
But we have general ones that affect everybody. Like the CNG buses that were supposed to have been supplied. Will it take forever to supply CNG buses?
Yeah, so sometimes when government is, because you see, I tell people often, governance is not done on the pages of newspaper.
Right.
It's a different thing to make a pronouncement. It's a different thing to want to get it right. Because sometimes in the heat of the rush to make that thing available, then you see a lot of blunders.
All right. Shouldn't that have been considered before bringing the very harsh policy? Yeah.
So you see, that's why I say he brought in assertiveness, and in my case, in my opinion, that is charisma, because it takes boldness, it takes a lot of assertiveness to be able to, you understand, to lead and make those kind of pronouncements.
Yeah.
But I think it's a gradual process. The civil servants, what's it called, the minimum wage, has actually been in effect. So I think that's part of the package. You understand what I'm saying now? So really, it's a gradual process, and I think when you talk about the CNG buses, well, let's give them, this is just 2 years. It's a midterm assessment we're talking about.
Right, yeah.
And that's why I keep challenging people in office a lot of times. There's a need for constant information. You don't keep quiet about some other things. I mean, I know you can keep some things under wrap, but when you make some pronouncements, you also need to work more on the orientation and the information, you know, that you pass around to say, oh, we promised you 8 months ago, but this is the stage where we are. This is what is going on, and this is what is causing the delay. I think that goes a long way in really calming, you know, freight now.
Correct. So there's a need. That's a need that's been identified in the system, that the presidency has to go to town to particularly address some of those issues and provide the citizenry with some information that could calm. Let me use your words. Calm freight nerves. Yes.
Let me come in there. To me, I think what we should be looking at more is, do the people really trust the government of the day?
That creates trust deficit. This kind of situation creates trust deficit. I was going to go there, but now that you're there.
Yeah, because if you look at the whole policy system and the outlook of the country, you see there's a lot of distrust. If 10 people calls, 9 will tell you, I'm suffering. A government that comes in should first think about the people and not anything else.
You cannot be thinking of policy without the people as the center of that policy.
This policy you brought in, was it in your manifesto to tell the whole world that when I come into the office, I'm going to delete subsidy?
I think the 3 major parties, Labour Party, PDP, and
all agreed.
They all agreed that they should remove it.
The 3 of them said they were going to remove it.
They were going to remove it.
But it's the manner and the
systematic way of removing it.
Exactly.
Because I'm talking about trust. That if you want to do anything for me as the person that brought you, that voted you, you should first consider me. I like the idea of removing the policy, the subsidy.
Everybody agrees.
Because
most Nigerians
we saw from the discussion that this thing is about few people benefiting from that thing more than the general Nigeria.
That's correct.
And
then it was putting all of us in
trouble. But at the end of the day, me, if I were to be in government or to be the president at that time, what I will have first consider is, okay, what are the palliatives? Number one, the temporary suspension of that thing, of subsidy.
Right.
2, what are the palliatives we have as a plan to ameliorate this suffering? That is, the APC as a party, the government of the day, is going to do a lot of work to combat 2027. To be able to do the total reorientation, I like the way you put it, to do total reorientation of the people on why they did what is it. Because people are not even listening to them again. Why? Because of the way and manner they were treated. So I would believe that, okay, you say you have some packages out there How many people can we point at? Like Rufai said sometime 2 days ago, he said, can anybody come out here to tell us that they have been receiving the palliative? For how long? When you say, okay, 2 years midterm report, how long? I was looking at the report of the scorecard. How long? People are suffering. People are dying in the hospital. How long? Security is a mess. How long? So if we say 2 years, that 2 years we have lost how many lives? It's not. We are not talking about chicken. We are talking about human being. So the government, and there's something that I don't even like about this whole thing. The fact that the president is not going to see, he's not visiting places where we are having issue. No.
Well, while that will bring some human face to it,
it's becoming too many. It's becoming too many that the people that voted you cannot go to identify with them. And you want to come back to say they should vote you again? Trust level. Identify with people. He will come out and say, yes, we know that you are suffering. Sir, it's not enough to say, what are we doing about it?
Which is what he also
alluded to. We should stop talking.
Those information gaps are visible.
Action now, action.
Right.
Like I was saying it one of matters arising. I said, President has increased what allocation that goes to governors. At that level, it's not higher allocation.
Yes.
It's not president that will hold. And he said something, he said, hold your governor.
Correct.
It's not just about the government, it's not about the president.
Federal government,
it's not about everybody as a leader. They should deliver the dividend of democracy
at their various levels.
At their various levels.
I agree.
So we're not pointing at the president alone, but all the other leaders.
All right. All right. I see Dayo is very passionate about this, and I can't blame him. Now, now let's begin to talk maybe sector by sector.
Okay.
Now, you just hinted, you just touched a little bit on security. Now, as far as you're concerned, Adeolu, do you think that this government scores well on security?
No, they have not scored well. Because it is now like daily activities now. I was reading one of the reports this morning where the Chief of General Staff, AHMED was saying they have now captured some Afghanistans that are mercenary, training Boko Haram and other. And I said it before. One of the issues we are having with security here in Nigeria is our inability to spend money, that security vote, on information gathering. Intelligence. We are, see, to get to those people, to wrap up those Afghanistans, I do not know how they did it. But if we have put more emphasis on this area, that intelligence gathering, we will have gone far. See, and there's a lot of politics being played on this security of it.
Very unfortunately. Somebody
is saying, okay, I read again in which state is that? Gombe. And Gombe, Kebbi State, where they shut down a whole how many communities. Look at this governor
in Borno.
Yeah. How many times that guy has been attacked? Okay, wait, that guy is moving without information, without intelligence. So what happened to all the DSS following him? That guy has suffered so much attack as a governor, going from one community, and if he goes to any, as soon as he's entering that community, he's being attacked. What happened to DSS? What happened to NIA? What happened to all the people moving with him? They just, okay, wait, you see that they just move aimlessly without getting information before they say, Your Excellency, you cannot move now, or you can move now.
Well, I do not know the facts, but I do know that some chief executives, in spite of whatever security reports is given to them, some of them can be very insistent on going ahead.
Sir, you know, when you look at protocol at that level, you can't break it. Because you put everybody's life
in danger.
As a leader. So if there is an information that says the road is not clear, a governor or whoever you are, you stay back.
Right.
But it means there is a lack of information for his movement.
To be easily.
So in the area of security is too porous.
All right, I'll take it to Samaila. Yeah. So, how do you score the government in terms of security?
You see, so it's debatable actually, because yeah, I gave you first and foremost what the global terror index is saying. In Buhari's time, Nigeria is the third most insecure country in the world.
The third most insecure. Right.
Today, we are the sixth. Whatever indices they used to arrive at that, I'm not privy to it. Right. But I think we have done something.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you look at from the time this government came on board, or, you know, it took about 4 or 5 months before the cabinet was formed, I think.
Yeah.
From the time they came on board, apart from lately, from I think around March, April, that we had some issues in Benue and Plateau that were actually of grave concern, it's really gone down. I'll tell you that. I'm from Katsina, and I can tell you that. I've now been a member of a security committee at the NSA's office. That position has not changed from the time of Jonathan. Do you understand? As a stakeholders committee, in fact, we started work when there was a security report to say there's going to be post-election violence if Jonathan wins the election, you know, and we went to work. And Azazi showed us some video clips. So a lot of times I feel there's an information deficit, because what they show you when you get to those kind of rooms where they have those information, you're wondering and asking questions, why are you not telling Nigerians some of these things? Azazi once showed us a video clip of where young boys of about 18 years, you know, with t-shirts and their jeans, came out of a car and saw a police van with, I think it's joint task force or something, because some of them are wearing either like military or mobile police officers, and they kill all of them. The boys kill all the security officers that were in that van. About 8 of them. One was trying to escape. They got him down. He showed us the video. I don't know how they got that video, because there's somehow there's CCTV around the place and all that. And so sometimes you're wondering, because he was like, this is something very worrisome, and the security issue has not even gotten this worse at the time. You understand?
Yes.
But you see, I'll tell you, Buhari's time in terms of security is actually the worst we've had.
All right.
And majorly because all hopes were high to say now a military general.
Exactly, because that was an irony. It was an irony.
It was a complete irony, you know, to say under a no-nonsense military general.
Yes, who also promised that within 3 months.
As a matter of fact, he won the election on 2 major fulcrums.
Exactly.
Security and corruption.
Exactly.
That's it.
Well, that was our hope.
You understand? So it went very, very bad. You understand? And I like the way this president tried to, because he went beyond to say, oh, this person must come from this part, or this person must be a Muslim or Christian. He brought a fine gentleman on board who it was based on people's testimonies and recommendations to say, there's an army officer that we know in terms of General
the guy that died.
Chris Ugwabe. No, the one that is there now, the chief of defense staff.
Okay, chief of defense staff.
You understand? The president doesn't know him from anywhere, because from Kaduna State, the people he has worked with, from Borno State, the people who has worked with, people are saying there's someone who we know is on top of his game when it comes to these issues. And I know a lot of people were not happy when he came. That, okay, if that kind of position is going to come from the north, why not a Christian north? I mean, why not a Muslim north and all that? But you see, this thing is we're talking about human lives.
Exactly.
It should go beyond the sentiment,
beyond politics. He hinted at that.
And all that. But I'll tell you, from that major incidences we had in Benue and Plateau, because in Zamfara, there have been more arrests of bandit leaders and capture of bandit leaders more than we ever had in the history of this country.
But then
we saw what is happening recently in Saudi Arabia. Some of them who think when you finish collecting ransom, you will go there, they were sent back. Some of them, they got their mothers, their wives arrested in Saudi Arabia and all that. So I think it's a gradual process. But you see, we can't be here, when we talk about human lives, we cannot be saying, oh, somebody has done very well, somebody, whilst people are still dying.
What
the goal will be that let's get to that stage
where
Of
people
solving
are
the problem.
just dying
Solving the
in
problem.
cold blood.
But we also need to understand that these people have infiltrated Nigeria under
much.
some leadership who were docile or doing nothing about. Because one of the things I have found very annoying was Buhari caged himself. This was someone you will think that will have a mind of his own because of his disposition in the past. Cage himself. He was not talking to no one. He was not seeing people and all that. So it made the situation to became very worse. We saw how corruption within the army and all that became at its peak during his time, where people are making serious money and all that
from people's blood.
From people's blood. So, and we kept calling for these things needs to stop. And I think if people at the presidency are listening to this, is also a clear call to say, look, whatever it takes. If some people will need to not sleep, if some people will need to relocate to those war zones,
If all people need to be removed,
let it happen.
Yeah.
And I keep saying there should be timelines when you are appointing people
Thank
into
you.
office.
That's it.
Give timelines. What do you think is achievable? You ask the person who is coming in, what do you think is achievable between so time and so time? You give me your
let
own.
him let him
Say
say
it
it.
himself.
Yes, let him
Do you think
commit
it's
himself.
achievable?
Commit.
Do you think you need 2 weeks to go and do your research and be sure that that thing is achievable?
He said it now.
Because I need to stop this thing.
Research.
You know, so really something has to be done. But I think based on the indices we're hearing, because, and that's why I keep telling people sometimes when you go out there, don't keep saying negatives about Nigeria. It keeps affecting us. Each time you get to any airport, they try to separate you. You go through the frisking machines like 3 times in some countries. Sometimes we agitate to say, why should I be really
Treated this way.
treated this way because I'm carrying a green passport and all that? Because sometimes we have people who are demarketing the country. Yes, we know things have gone very bad, but also some leaders who are, who have contributed to how worse it is, also need to be brought to book to come and account for how and why. Because we heard of reliable informations of some top security brass that are actually sponsoring some of the things that we're talking about.
All right, Samaila. We'll go on a break, and when we get back, we'll continue from there.
On behalf of himself, family and well-meaning Nigerians, the former Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, is delighted to congratulate His Excellency President BOLA Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, on the achievements recorded during his 2 years in office. Clearly, we have witnessed a significant progress in your program and national development policies across various sectors of national life, such as the development of infrastructure, increased revenue generation, economic stabilization, job creation, growing foreign investments, improved social security, and enhanced public welfare, among others. These achievements have greatly impacted our lives, and such remarkable progress in just 2 years is truly impressive. As you celebrate your 2nd anniversary in office, I, along with other patriotic Nigerians, express our heartfelt gratitude for your unifying leadership, your social impact, and your visionary policies driving national progress. Your Excellency President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, we celebrate you and wish you continued success. On behalf of himself, family and well-meaning Nigerians, the former Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, is delighted to congratulate His Excellency President BOLA Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, on the achievements recorded during his 2 years in office. Clearly, we have witnessed a significant progress in your program and national development policies across various sectors of national life, such as the development of infrastructure, infrastructure, increased revenue generation, economic stabilization, job creation, growing foreign investments, improved social security, and enhanced public welfare, among others. These achievements have greatly impacted our lives, and such remarkable progress in just 2 years is truly impressive. As you celebrate your second anniversary in office, I, along with other patriotic Nigerians, express our heartfelt gratitude for your unifying leadership, your social impact, and your visionary policies driving national progress. Your Excellency President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, we celebrate you and wish you continued success.
Well, all I know is in this house, I'm sure the sensei in the kitchen.
Sensei? What's that again?
That's Japanese for master, babe.
Master. In whose kitchen? My kitchen. My kitchen.
Babe. Oh, I know this tastes so good. That smell.
You're right.
Junior, back me up here, son. Kids.
So you think you're master, Abby? Prove it.
With pleasure.
Sensei.
Told you.
Master's instant noodles. Always a delight.
Welcome back to the Polity. We're still here, and it's myself, Adeolu, and Samaila doing justice to what's happened in the last 2 years under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And a whole lot's been said. Let's move forward a little bit. Now, so much money in the last few budget cycles that we remember, maybe in the last 4 or 5 budget cycles, defense or what you call defense security has taken the lion's share of our budgets for up to like the last 5 budget cycles. Yet the results we're getting don't match the outlay, the money being put in. Dayo, what do you think is at the bottom of this?
See, like I said, they should stop politicizing security. And I think the president needs to take a stand firm on this matter. Now, in Benue and Plateau, from all our findings, I like what he said, research. Can we go there to investigate what is there? Have you come out to come and tell us the issue of these communities? What happened? Who was those people that killed these people? The National Orientation Agency is not giving information out, or the presidency is not telling us what's going on. Because the truth is this: if we are spending so much money,
we should get better results.
We should get better results in information sharing. Nigerians, these were how many people we have arrested. There are 35 guys, and they are this and this, and they are going to face the wrath of the law. Have you ever heard that kind of thing? Meanwhile, these guys will go slaughter people like cow, and nothing is being said about it. My issue is when you kill people, I get angry because these are human lives.
It's not as if the people have gone on holiday.
No,
it's not as if maybe after some 6 weeks we can decide to bring them back.
Katsina,
it's gone.
People were mass burial. Katsina, how many days ago? No. Kebbi State, the same thing. Gombe, the same thing. Benue, Plateau. When will this stop? We should stop politicizing it. People that are saying, don't mention names, don't mention names. No. Mention the name, let them face the wrath of the law, deal with the situation. Don't spare them. Even the military guys that are being killed, are they not human beings? They are people's children,
people's
and fathers and brothers. They deserve to live. But I like what the general said this morning when he said the people that did the last operation are those Pakistani Afghanistans that were arrested, that they were people that came in to begin to train Nigerians. Those bandits, the Boko Haram, the ISWAP, they were people that came in to train them on how to make IED, on how to make this, on how to make that. So if they were successful yesterday, taking those people to cost, then we should spend more money to get what the other people that are causing problems. Then also, like I always say, if they can bring in the machinery to help them, let us also look for machinery, information from outside the country to know. Okay, look at Saudi. See what Saudi did with us. That is that's a very beautiful relationship between Saudi, yes, with Nigeria. See, I love the fact that one particular person was returned back to Nigeria. And me, I have always been like, I was so happy. One guy that I never liked. And when Saudi said they deny him, he said they gave me visa, but they returned him. That's good for you. Because the guy sound like an untouchable person. That is politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, still talking about security. Samaila, let's come to you. Now, in this age of technology,
yes,
is it so difficult to locate and fish out these killers, these terrorists?
You see, so they are in different categories. There's that category that some politicians brought in when they needed to frustrate a particular government,
yes,
to take so that they can take over, to make Nigeria ungovernable. Those ones have refused to go back. They are now calling for more of their men from their country. That there's so much money to be made here. Coming. There's it's not a newspaper report. It's a first-hand information that I'm giving you. There's that category.
So can that be dealt with?
I love this statement. Ismaila.
Yes. Now there's another category that some also powerful politicians is places like Zamfara, who, because of the mining sites, the gold there, brought them in to help them to mark their territories. And how do you do that? Once a seismic test has been carried out that there's gold deposit in so-so area and so-so area, you need to move the people out of the place. But you can't do that except if you try to create chaos. So you move in your mercenaries to go there and start terrorizing them, cause trouble, so that the people will relocate and leave the place free. You understand? So there's that category. Now, but why I'm a bit not so happy is what I expect whoever is at the saddle or helm of affairs to do, taking care of security, is to say, look, because when we came in during that post-election violence, what we did is to say, let's mark the north, because the security report was coming from the north. Where are the most volatile states? Kano State, you know, is one of the volatile. If there's no crisis in Kano, there's not going to be in Jigawa, there's not going to be in Katsina. Kaduna State, if there's no crisis in Kaduna, Zaria is not going to pick it up. Some other places around Kaduna is not going to happen. If you take Bauchi as most volatile, you know, if it didn't happen in Bauchi, it's not going to happen in so many other in Adamawa and the rest of them. And Plateau also happened. I think we have about 5 most volatile at the time, and we look at the less volatile, the ones that we say, oh, we heard that it's already happening in Kaduna. Let's also start mobilizing people. You also mark those ones. And also you begin to deal with the security issues based on the volatility of those areas. Those locations to say, okay, now we identify that there's a big problem in Borno area. Where are these people migrating from? Where are they coming from?
Where are they likely to also move to?
Where are they like? So you need to block every access. You need to block every access around there. So if it means that we have 100 military officers in Nigeria, if we say we identify 5 states, share those military in maybe 2020. To move their base to those places, so that you're able to block the access they have and cut them off entirely. That needs to be done. You understand?
Because so, let me help you. Let me help this. Now, look at what is done during our elections.
Yes.
In a state of cycle elections, especially, you find out that you move up to 30,000 personnel across the
one
army,
state.
police, NSCDC, to one state.
Because
I've
of
asked
election.
this question before. Can't we move like 30,000 personnel to Sambisa
To solve a
Forest
problem?
and clean it up?
So
If you have
also-
to make it 70,000, if you have such
I
numbers.
also
To solve a
raised-
problem.
I also raised that with somebody
To
who
solve
is,
a problem.
who is highly placed.
Meaning that
before.
we know the problem, we just don't want to
We're shying
address the
away from
problem.
it.
It's
Go ahead,
what-
go ahead.
That's why I use the word politicize.
Yeah, so I once raised that with somebody who is also highly placed in the security cycle, who said, now the problem is sometimes you don't want to cluster them in one place because there's easy accessibility to the security officers to now begin to compromise. It happened in Zamfara at a point where a particular GOC had to change the timing he told his troop that they're going out. Because there's a mole among the military officers who will send to the bandits that were moving towards your
I think
direction.
that's a major problem too.
You understand?
There are moles.
There are moles within the system. And that's why
This guy has
that president
been
told us
consistent.
about the Nigerian police, that he was giving example that if they want to rubbish you, because some people who ab initio before they joined the police, they were willing to join because there's corruption in the police.
Can you imagine?
So they went there. So it's very difficult for you to stop those ones
Just
from
go ahead.
corruption.
Okay.
Because they went into that force with the intention to go and get their own share, not people who out of patriotism or looking for a job actually went to join. You understand what I'm saying? So those are some of the issues that are also around some of those things sometimes.
Samaila, let's allow this caller. He's been very persistent. Oh no, too late. We got to him too late. Mazi, please do call back. Please, if you can do that right away, you'll get your chance to. All right, and he did. Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon, gentlemen in the studio.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm also Crawford by name. Now, I want us to look at this thing as much as we are fighting about. Look, don't we have the opportunity of making use of this kinetic and non-kinetic that each of these drones, as they're talking about the state officer, the state officer, with drones, they solve that problem. Now, if you look at South Africa today, they produce their own drones, they use it. But here in Nigeria, we have totally industry in Kaduna. What does it take us? We have brothers from different technological universities in this country that are ready, even the open space we have been talking, they are ready to do it. But they are not in need of us. What do we do? The area we go back and that's the we have in this country, and some of the problem, that will solve our own problem. And you have to look at this and move on. We are talking about this security. We are looking at, nobody is talking about education. So we are seeing what is happening now. Who is down by why can this what is going on? Now, down 10 2 million. Are we talking about, at the end of the day, the person not at this country, 400,000 candidates. They say that to tell around the result. What does it take the government to make infrastructure for this available? So that the government can take up to 800,000 candidates into Nigeria. But what do we do? Or do we take the security? They don't talk about education. No. Education is key.
Yeah.
For the many 2 years, people should say that the government that education is key.
All right.
Or never had building a lot of vices for the country, which is not good for us. Good afternoon.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, you know, in times past, before last year or 2 years now, the greeting today used to be Happy Democracy Day. That's changed now. Now, so we've been talking about security, and I think that we should still stick to that for now. And you had not concluded your thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see, the way the security architecture is being run in Nigeria, there's a need for a total, overhauling of it. You understand? And I'm actually saying, for some people who they were caught, either caught or some reports indicted them, they should be called for questioning.
All right.
Because all we hear all the time is where security, some of the top security brass will just
were involved.
Yeah, or will just be questioned. Will just be questioned by EFCC, and it ends there.
And that matter ends.
And everybody knows that
And
it's usually about soft
disturbing.
landing, because you're going to be a plea bargain and say you're going to forfeit this, forfeit that, and we're talking about human lives. you know, some people need to come and answer some questions and say, look, the plea bargain, because America's security system does it. Sometimes if they feel you have some vital information, they'll give you a soft landing. You have to sell those people out for you to escape. So some of the security top brass need to be shown the report and say, look, you're going to go for it if you can't tell us what you know about these things.
Right.
So that they begin to also voice out or vomit some of the things they know. Because when you try to create chaos so that you keep making money through the security, the failure of the security, there are some certain informations that you have. You understand? So you should be able to be, to be forced to divulge. To divulge some of this information so that we can actually have a headway. Because you see, the security industry or the insecurity industry in Nigeria is about the largest to make money in this country. I'm telling you,
people's blood.
Yes.
Right.
And people are realizing that, and that's the reason why people are going.
They're going there more.
Even kidnapping
and
itself.
Frustrating the entire
going there more.
Yeah, the kidnapping itself.
Some
certain people have also identified it to say you can't even rob this kind of money.
The intellectuals are even going into it.
You can't. There's no bank you can go and carry
that huge sum at
easy money now.
You understand? I will see where people are paying 100 million in ransom in Nigeria. So there's no any other industry that is as lucrative as that. So people are
catching out.
You know, so it has to be addressed and tackled. But I know it's not going to be, because we might be here and think that it will be that easy to stop it in one day or in 2 weeks or in 1 year. Really, the way the system has been infiltrated, sometimes your neighbor, you don't even know who he is. You see people who are driving big cars. Some are also informants to people who are kidnapping. We have seen where in this town a car dealer brought in boys from Lagos to come and help him rob cars in Abuja here and go and sell it in Lagos.
In his own
no, he's a car dealer. That's his own work. So that's what I'm trying to say. You only think, oh, it's those boys who are doing armed robbery. Even your old friend that is doing car dealership, you don't know how he's making money from it. Simple. Because a lot of times, them have boys who are stealing vehicles for them and they are selling. You understand? You just move it to another part of the country. Somebody who took microfinance money to buy a car, and when he stole it, you think he has the money to start chasing his car all over Nigeria? He does it. Everybody just look for another means to keep surviving. So there are a lot of criminality going on. So it's a complex system.
Okay, so Dayo, this is what I told somebody. I said Nigeria is too technical. So before you ever want to think of how to solve this problem, who are you? What do you know?
My God.
Because look at how complex the thing is. Where do we start from?
It reminds me, this thing you just said, what you just said reminds me, I was watching a skit yesterday of a young man who said he bought a phone and a few other wig for the girlfriend, then told his boys to go steal those things from her.
This one happened even in my office of Princess.
Told the boys to go steal those things from her. And then the guy was saying, why would you do that? Is it because he borrowed money to buy those things and he doesn't have money to pay back? He has to or something like that. So why would you, the fake life that we live, when a nation or any group submits to money alone, it's money that controls how people are respected or treated. This is the kind of thing that you keep getting.
Okay, so where do we start from? Because you said, let's see how we can begin to knock it off. We have banditry, we have robbery.
Just imagine that we have focused on just security now in the last 20 minutes.
It's massive.
It's massive. And it doesn't even stop at that. Let me give you another dimension to it. Because in any nation, the young ones are the leaders of tomorrow.
Sure.
But I tell you, the leaders of tomorrow today,
they are
either drug addicts.
They are not interested.
Let me tell you an incident that happened during Emefiele. We were having a meeting with Emefiele in his office back then because of a program we wanted to do, and we're looking for how CBN can partner, sponsor and all that. And he told us, because it's an anti-drug abuse program,
right?
And he told us that in this office here, and you know the caliber of people we employ most of the times, because it's usually on recommendations and all that. He said, we had to open a rehabilitation center in Lagos for them, just to take them away from the public glare. A lot of them, when they get to the office, they put their head on the table, they are gone.
They slip off.
Close of work where somebody will tap them. And you can't sack them.
Because they are from somebody.
You understand what I'm saying? The same thing happened even in some universities around us here in Abuja. They have to start running drug tests at a particular point. I don't know if they
all the students, yes, all the students are doing it now
on daily basis. Once
to be checking on them,
to be checking on them, because you see, this are another dimension of problem we need to deal with headlong.
So what is the future looking like now?
It's no longer just within just the rich alone. Sometimes ago, I was delivering a lecture for secondary school students, but organized by a body during summer break. You know, somewhere around Guarimpa they made their advert down to Dulce and all that, and they usually come in the hall, you know, and all that because it was free. And we're trying to tutor them on just to educate them on drug abuse and cultism and all that. The first day I started as an icebreaker, you know, to say, oh, just 1 to 3. Tell me, they're from different schools. What do you know about drug abuse? Everybody started raising hands. What drugs do you know that can be abused? These boys or these kids, they went beyond what I Google on the internet. Some things I don't even know are being abused. Just 1 to 3 already know. As a matter of fact, it was then that somebody told me the reason why they put that drug abuse and cultism into the summer lesson was because at some particular point in time on that Dulce road to Buhari, sometimes NDLA at the close of school, when secondary school are closing, they mount their roadblock there so that as some of the secondary school students are coming in taxis, they stop in the taxis and be searching, and they get drugs. Some of them take it to school to go and sell. So it's a clarion call even to parents to know you need to be checking their bags on daily basis. The problem we are having is even beyond just looking at, because this is also part of security we're talking about. Yes. You understand? It's beyond just those, because these are some of the things that lure people into it. A young boy of JS2 also was telling me, because I told them, I know some of you won't be able to tell us what you've been doing, where you belong. Just write, if you have question or you have any concern, write it in a sheet of paper. Let the ushers go around and collect it. A boy told me he's in GS2 and they are forcing him into cult. But the worst part is he had to be stealing his grandmother's money because he's staying with the grandmother. Whenever they demand for money, he has to steal that money to go and take to them.
Go to many primary school and many secondary school now.
Yeah,
it's a den of court.
I told you how we had to quickly remove my son from a school in Buhari.
It's a den
because they were about introducing sodomy. So these issues are very serious and they are perverse. They're all over the place.
They're all over the place.
Now, I don't know, but we can't afford to spend the entire time on security. We have to move on to something else. But clearly, it's a huge matter, and government, I believe, one way or the other, is watching. We must do something about
how
this.
The government will look at this program, that will look at the problems and solve it. Is what I'm just thinking.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's really intricate.
When it's now going down to that level, there's a problem.
And it's majorly a generation that is the shortcut generation. And they just want it now.
Yes.
So there's a bigger problem, because these people, whether you like it or not, they will be the leaders of tomorrow. They will be the leaders of this country.
And that will continue. That their behavior will continue. And look at the kind of leaders you want to have now.
You know.
So let's look at another aspect of the government. How do you score this government in terms of women, and particular focus women?
Women in terms of participation in governance, recognition,
women issues. How?
Okay, so looking at women and in government, looking at women in governance, they are not doing bad. The government of the day is giving room to quite a number of women coming in now. Most of the appointments, you have women there, but at the same time, if you look at the women, you still see that they are not always in the forefront of decision making when it comes to governance. You see that they are deputy governors, the ones that are senators. What are we getting from them? The other one that tried to speak out the last time is the controversial around the whole speaking out. Is because so women in government.
In actual fact, in the Senate, I don't think you have more than about 3 or 4.
I think they are just 3
as of now.
I think they are just 3.
Yeah. So
it's
but that's not the doing again, that's not the doing of the government per
no,
se.
it's the,
Yeah, but
it's
in
the
terms of
people.
appointments, in terms of inclusion in some other levels of participation, maybe that's what we can take a look at. They have no power over the number of women that get elected. But again, they probably have power in providing an enabling space. Because I do know that there's a current bill that is trying to go through for special seats, which in some other elocution, in some other interpretation, is actually to provide some seats, more seats for women.
For women,
right?
It's going on now.
It's going on now. So if that scales through, it probably would be given as credit to this government. And I think that these are some of the areas
but
that
the question is this:
at.
when you look at women in governance or in government, who brings a woman in? Is he in the appointment or in the election?
No. For this one, I would have wanted us to look at the appointment. Because appointments, yes, you determine who you want.
Yeah.
So I think first you need to also consider how political appointments are being done. So a lot of times, the president doesn't even know the people.
Yeah,
which
they are recommended.
They are just not recommended from people who were just sitting down somewhere.
No,
it's based on political experiences and
interest.
You know, some people don't know the president. The president doesn't know them. Somebody who is also a stakeholder recommend their name when they say, "Oh, okay, Chief Soso, who is your candidate?" They send down the name. In fact, I know of a former minister in this country whose name was completely not on the list from his state, you know, and that was Bolaji Abdullahi from Kwara.
All right.
His name was completely not on the list. But unfortunately, they asked each state to send, I think, 10 names, but they wrote, there were 9 names on the list. But the number bears 10.
Right.
And so they had to call them, the governor's attention to it, to say
that there are only 9 names.
9 names here. So he called somebody who he was his godfather, or still maybe, I don't know, his godfather, to say this was the report we got, and say
we need one more person.
Who do we put now? They'll say, okay, just put him there. Unfortunately,
the person that they put last minute.
So the committee appointing ministers, they already gave Kwara Minister of Youth.
Okay.
So when they got there, they had to check their profile and be looking for the youngest person.
And that's how you.
And that was right.
That's how you got
it. In fact, there were so many, rancor around it to say, how did it happen? It wasn't part of the game plan and all that. But, you know, the president said at the time, he said, I don't know him.
That was under Jonathan.
That was under Jonathan. And they said, this is the report the committee gave me. But back to your question is, a lot of times, sometimes when some some appointments were being said, oh, this state will bring this state. Some of the states don't.
Don't list any woman
there.
Most of the time.
So you don't expect the president
to now
go to that state and begin to call for the women. And I think that is a general problem in Nigeria, because there's still some level of acceptability of women in leadership. Some culture frown at it. You understand?
Yeah.
Some culture, there are some places that a woman can
some
never
religion
able to be a governor, because people feel she should be in like the other man said, in the other room. You understand?
Right.
So it's something we're still grappling with, to say, how do you integrate women properly, to say, okay, they can actually, and a lot of times some of their husbands also say no.
Most of the time, that's the issue.
You know,
most of the time, husbands will not support. Most of the time.
And that's why sometimes, I don't know whether that is correct, sometimes a lot of the women who come forward as for political appointments are either unmarried, single persons, elderly, widows or something.
Sincerely.
Or a politician who is versatile.
Most men.
So
because you have to
that's an area that something actually needs to be done, because whether we accept it or not, women are really holding their own now around the world.
Sincerely.
If this kind of limitation was placed on somebody like Okonjo-Iweala, where would she be now? You know, so I think that government really needs to work on that.
Another area I think we should look at is, let's look at education.
Yes,
and agriculture. Those two guys.
We're going to education if we have the time. I think we have very limited time.
Yeah, education and agriculture because of the food problem.
Let's look at education. What has this government, and I'm taking that to you, Adeolu. How has this government affected education?
Well, I would say in the area of education, the government is really coming up.
Right.
Especially in the area of NEFOD.
All right. Okay.
You understand? Because it was long
overdue.
Right. And for the president to take it up and start it almost immediately, I must commend the government of the day. Because that is a huge relief for a lot of family. Because a lot of them that are going to school cannot afford this education. But for government to come out and say, oh yeah, and I like it. Even trying to now bring in private institutions to support students in paying school fees, that is a huge a mark for the government of the day. So I will give it to the president and to some governors too. Because I saw that a lot of governors are now doing free education from primary to secondary. You understand? So it is a good one. It's really commendable. So we need to do more. And the area of education that I'm also looking at is this. The area of research in the education sector. I do not know if government has really done much in that area because if any nation would develop, that is where that development will come from. It's from the higher institution and the research done in the area of technology, science, and what have you. So government need to also look at different grants to higher institutions for research.
Specifically dedicated to research.
Sincerely. If it is to set up a governing board for research in this country, it is one area we are lacking. And if we are able to do it, then that means there is still going to be a better Nigeria very soon.
I think that TED Fund actually addresses some of your concern about research, but maybe it's not enough. Maybe you're saying a lot more needs to be done.
Yeah.
But I think that TED Fund does a whole lot of that. I know that some universities come up with some what do you call it now? Discoveries, some inventions, which they gladly put some money.
So for that kind of things, you see, when we have that kind of disbursements being given to different schools, let's have a time or a week in a year that we set out for our discoveries.
All right.
Where everybody come out to exhibit. It was a friend of mine that told me this. He said, see, one of the things that I like that Nigeria should do is let us have this technology warehouse where we warehouse all our technology inventions. Let them bring it out so that the world will see that we are not just consuming, but we're also
contributing. Right, and I think that RMRDC, raw materials. I think research development. I think they are also involved to a large extent in some of these things.
Area, we are not seeing information.
Maybe we're not seeing enough, and maybe we're not aware.
Or they are not saying anything about it.
No, I think they are, because I think they still had their week last week or something where they exposed some of the things that they're doing, and so. Still talking about education, and since this government is one that is known to take very bold decisions, is it not time? I hope that this doesn't offend some people's sensibilities, but I think that it's a genuine concern. Now, you have a JAMB that conducts exams across the nation for people to get admission into a higher institution. After that is done, you have a situation where the individual schools will now do what is called post-UTME. Now, is this not a duplication of effort? Which shouldn't one go down? One of these two go down. Either you retain JAMB, so we know that JAMB conducts for all, and which is good. It's beautiful that every student around the country can have a taste, can go to the same place to test themselves. And I think that's fantastic. But then if you also have having that, you now also have to have, individual schools conducting. You're punishing the parents, you're punishing the guardians, you're punishing even the students.
But there is a motive behind it.
What is the motive? So let's talk about it now. Should we retain that?
That was introduced before JAMB took some other stringent measures in terms of how student is being identified and all that.
Yes, maybe using technology.
Over time, people have been going in to write jam for their brothers, their sisters.
Before now.
And all that.
Yeah.
And so the schools came up and said, look, a lot of times people have all-round A's, 8 A's and all that. And in the classroom, the result is not the same thing.
True.
What do we do? How do we go about this? Well, perhaps somebody wrote it for them. Perhaps some special centers got involved and all that. Also test them when they are coming in.
That is the individual school.
The individual school. So that was the motive behind it. Because I'll tell you, it's also happening in NYC.
To check performance.
If to serve now, a lot of places, I mean, foreign student will have to write another test before they'll be eligible to serve. And I had an encounter.
No, of what use is again? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Hold on. Let him learn.
What use is that? Will you send the child back to school?
That is not their business. Somebody went there and he tried to sanitize the system. What happened is that somebody asked me to also go there to help beg on behalf of his child that
was asked to
write a test. And I got there, was introduced to the DG, asked me to liaise with his PA, gave me the PA's number, and when I got there, the man told me, he says, sir, if you bring them here, if they can, I can give them a slip for them to write this test, but it's a must, it's mandatory. And he brought out there are boxes where they put the people have written, and brought out like 2. You know how they wrap exam papers or past questions and all that. He brought out 2. And he said, please, at random, I should just check. If I see anybody that is supposed to go for service among these people, he will agree with my argument. And I checked. People cannot, the only question they are writing, because it's not about what you taught in school.
Hear that now.
Just write an essay describing the town where you went to school, the country where you went to school, and what just your experience.
Terrible matter.
Some people wrote 2 lines. Some people cannot write a paragraph. You can't make sense of even a paragraph that is written. And these are graduates that are being churned out. You understand? And I told him I had to excuse myself. I even apologized to the guy. Honestly, I can't. He said even the senator was here, the same thing happened. He said, so these are some of the problems.
So what is the solution to that? Do you send such a person back to school?
It's not their problem.
But they will not be mobilized. They will not be mobilized.
Yes, he didn't go to school. He didn't go to school.
It has been happening for years now.
He did not go to school. He didn't go to school. He didn't do anything.
Workplace, a copper is sent to come and serve in your office. You can't give them an assignment to just write something out.
See everywhere.
It's terrible. It's that bad. You understand?
It is.
But
you see, I think that the approach, I think that the better approach is to sanitize where those exams. For example, I also said this on one of our matters arising. I did say that I appreciate when this particular crisis came, this last crisis with JAMB, and I said, see, don't begin to castigate JAMB. A lot of those people had mercenaries write their school certificate exams for them, and they can't defend what they have. The same thing you just talked about. So somebody has an A in maths, and you bring him progression, series, and he can't fix it. He can't take care of it. You give him swords. You give him some very basic mathematics things.
So should you now allow that person to go ahead?
Very good. So that's why many of them did not pass that exam. Forget about the glitches, because the glitches in the end affected only about less than 400,000.
Yeah.
And you had 1.9 million students. So if all that the glitches affected is 400, what happened to the remaining almost a million? It shows you that there's a gap, there's a divergence between what they have on their paper and what they have on their head.
Yeah.
And that should be corrected at the school level.
Who should we blame now?
It should be corrected at the school level.
The school level does not have power over some of those schools. Some of the schools are just degree churning industries around Nigeria.
Not degree.
Okay.
At the O level
from O level upward.
So and again, that has nothing to do with JAMB.
No,
JAMB is doing its job. So I'm saying, when JAMB has done that, why do you need to subject the people
to another gate? I would support it that it is mandatory that they come in and still write. Why? Because you just said it now. Where are they coming from? Do they really know these things? Were they mercenary that wrote it for them?
Yes, but the JAMB gate has already screened off a whole lot of them.
How?
That's what we got this last week.
Even the people that were scored A guy said, I didn't expect I would score 361
Imagine.
because I know I was not ready for it.
Imagine.
He said it. He said, I didn't expect I would score 361. And he was given 361. Maybe that is from
he's
the
wondering. It was his lucky day. It was his lucky day.
There's so much.
So that kind of person is not because I know I did not prepare for it.
There's so much insincerity in our system. And
Oh,
it has
God.
eaten deep into
At
the
all levels.
Look, we can all be blaming. Everybody will be blaming people. The Megad that is blaming president, send him with 2,000 naira. He will not give you. He will not bring.
No, let me tell you now. Let me give you an example. Many years back in Lagos, we went somewhere, Marina, and we were about to park our vehicle. And the security guys, 2 of them ran and said, no, because I ain't no space, don't park there.
No.
So I just told the guy, I said, these people, I know them. Just bring 20 naira. And we gave 20 naira. The same place, the same persons that said no space. That same space where they said there's no space.
That will be place.
Look at.
That's the system. You know, you mentioned
it's unfortunate
about student loan and all that.
Already there's also
a lot of issues around it.
The point is, even now, I know of 2 pupils who have accessed their loan. Their parents are not aware.
And they are still collecting money from their parents.
Yes. Their parents are not aware.
Maybe those ones don't even need the loan in the first instance.
They don't.
Maybe the parents are capable.
They are.
But they still...
Even if the parents are not capable, it will have been a relief on the parents.
Yes, definitely.
So the parents are now there also blaming
Why
the government for not
doing anything.
They will be blaming government for not doing anything. But the children are already buying
benefiting
from those
using
loans.
the money to buy iPhone. Our parents are not aware. So where do we start from?
It's a whole lot.
I said the Nigeria of this Nigeria is very technical.
Wow.
So when you are trying to get one,
on the whole, as it is, government is doing.
I'll tell you a young chap who just got into school and went back, wrote a letter. I don't want to mention the name of the school. Wrote a letter, signed it as the HOD of the department, that he's the brightest in the class, and there's an allowance. No. He is the most intelligent, and the department got a space to go for excursion in Ghana. But the man need to bring, I think, 200 or 300,000. The department will cover up for augment it.
To give to his parents.
And the man brought out 100,000 and said, please.
That's all I can.
Let them help you. The boy insisted. And the man, his
own love and concern too.
He decided to go to the school with the letter to go and beg on behalf of the child.
Oh God!
And when he told he was very angry that he even saw somebody has signed his own. Signature.
Yes.
And he said they should go and bring the boy's file. They brought his file. He said first semester. He's the dullest in his class. He performed the worst.
Look at that kind of
brain that he has.
That can come up with that kind of letter. You are that intelligent to come up with a letter like that.
So
and you are the dullest. You can't use the brain for something that is more important. It shows the level of
the rot in the system
everywhere.
Well, as it is. We can't blame the government all the time. That's the important
No, you can't.
We need to check ourselves.
We need to work on ourselves. We have a few more minutes, and if you're still there and you want to call, please do call on 08029938365. Now, still talking about education. I'm sure we're going to end this show on education. Still talking education.
I think he also mentioned agriculture.
Yes, but
because of food security,
we might not be able to take. How do you see the way our schools are equipped? I don't know whether this is good, but go to University of Abuja. There are places where women have to go into the bush to relieve themselves. It is that bad. So if you don't have things as basic as toilets in the institutions that are supposed to mold people into the leaders that they are supposed to be, how do you even begin to now talk about workshops? How do you begin to even talk about laboratories?
I think that boils down to also,
and that's not it's not exclusive of University of Abuja.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I remember Unilag. The toilets don't work.
You see, it's also boils down on issue of accountability, and being responsible. in the sense that if you know the kind of money that is changing hands in those institutions, you will cry. They are accessing funds from the government with the name of it. In fact, there was someone that was answering questions. A VC was attending to EFCC at some point. The money we're talking about, it wasn't even a VC, it was a rector of a school. We're talking about billions of naira somewhere in the southeast. You understand? And yet, if you go to those kind of schools, some of these facilities will not be there.
Are not there.
So really, it's also a clarion call on the security agencies like EFCC, ICPC, to also start beaming their searchlight on those institutions.
Exactly.
To know what kind of funding are they accessing? What are those fundings?
Because these are institutions accessing funds, like you said, from the federal government. They have their own internally generated revenue.
Yeah.
They are getting monies from international bodies that fund their researches and give them all kinds of grants. And yet, and then they create
also there.
Let me come in there.
They create all kinds of other programs again.
That place is value system. Our value system is a mess. You know why? If I'm a leader in the university and I do not have a good value system, all I'm looking for is
money. Is money.
Because you do not.
They bake bread. They sell such
they have
water.
everything.
They have hotels.
They have partners.
They have farms.
But the value system is bad. A leader that is up there is telling you before you can do PPP. I remember I've had this kind of issue before. Before you can come into do PPP with us, this is what you should put on the table first.
Imagine.
I am bringing money. I'm bringing investors
to make life
to come
better.
and build hostel. He said you have to deliver this first before you can bring hostel.
Let's
Some of them also have
this last caller. Hello. Oh no! Oh no! It's gone. It's gone.
The value system.
Some of them also, some of the institutions also have agents who can help them to facilitate to access funding from TED Fund.
Yeah.
Those agents also have
get a cut.
They have to get a cut. They have to get a cut.
We really don't have the time. I wish we could do some. Let's do 2 minutes. What are we doing? How do you score this country, this government on agriculture? You,
agriculture. See, when oh, Father Lord, if I want to go to it, we can't even finish it.
That's why
you know why? Because there is a lot of issue in the area of which food is available for Nigerians to eat and which food is not available. Now, this is what I would advise. Government is saying, I'm giving fertilizer, I'm giving this to people, subsidized fertilizer. But the truth is, the people they are giving these things to, are they utilizing it for the common Nigerians?
Are they the ones who really need them for farms, or are they?
And I think we are not. And I think we are not ripe in the area of agriculture to close our border from having food coming. We are not yet there. And I think the government. I remember there was a time the president said they should open the borders.
Yes,
and be very cautious, but they have not, because things are still expensive. Somebody said rice is now 60,000 naira. I said, where?
No.
Show us now.
It's not true.
So the truth is this: in the area of agriculture, because why? What is causing the problem with agriculture is when the processing that has to do with power. That has to do with a lot of money spent on the packaging.
And which will also help if we have the processing and we have storage, then all the losses that are incurred from damage from the farm will be averted.
Will be averted. So, but the truth is, while we are trying to solve those problems, let's still allow the, we started by saying subsidy.
And this is the same period when we have insecurity challenge.
And they can't even go to farm again. So how do we balance it?
It's an integration.
How do we balance it? We said before you take step, calculate, do the needful to ameliorate the suffering. Fair. Then continue with your processes. If not, the country will continue to point finger at you as a failed country.
I think they also have tried to take some steps in terms of the agricultural.
You can do only 1
yes.
minute or 30 seconds.
Yeah, because the fertilizer issue has been a major problem over time, where people keep diverting it and all that. So they came up with a database of farmers to have access with their phone numbers so that they can have...
That was under additional, right?
Yes.
Please permit me to do this. Don't forget. Hello? Hello? Are you there? Yes? You're welcome to Kaftan TV. What's your name? Where are you calling from? And can you make yourself a little bit more audible?
On time. Cut.
If you make it louder, we will hear.
Can you hear me?
It's better now. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Airport Food Abuja.
Okay, go on, please.
All right. After the government over this conflict, yes, it's very, very, very laughable.
Now, so we just have to go very shortly after you conclude.
Yeah, so I think this government or the people who are saddled with either the minister, I know the ministry has now been, because it used to be a very huge, yes. Now you now have livestock development, and then you have so they are also building on what's it called now, the database, just to make sure that they first remove that scandal around fertilizer issue, which every year in year out people keep complaining.
So you can have the real persons and then remove the scammers.
Yeah, remove the scammers and people who are selling it outside the people who need it. So I think that's laudable to say is a way to go. It's all about database. Once we have a comprehensive database of who is who in Nigeria, I think it will go a long way in curbing crimes as well.
All right, so at this point we just have to go. My guests have agreed that yes, there are challenges, but the government is doing a whole lot, and there's a lot more to do. Is that it? Yeah, there's a lot more to do. And my guests have been Samaila Musa, the ex-director of strategic communication for Coalition of Northern Groups, as well as the current national coordinator of Grassroots Mobilization Initiative. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Also, you have Adeolu Adeyemo, who's a public affairs analyst. He's into the arts, he's into filmmaking and all that. I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I must say thank you to the production team. Thank you very much, every one of you. And thank you, dear viewers. This is the place, this is the station to be. Don't miss out. I'll be here again in the evening for Matters Arising, and I invite you to be a part of that show also. And tomorrow, my colleague will be here. Same time, same program, The Polity. This is the station to beat. My name is Dayo, and it's bye for now.